Alrighty, we are gonna do the monthly trade review for October
Now?
today. Huh?
I thought you were on Zoom.
No, I am. I'm recording a daily video. I'll go on mute real quick. Alrighty. So, welcome to the daily, no, no, no. Welcome to the monthly review of October. This month was a pretty crazy month, not gonna lie, but it was super successful in terms of process-based mindset, and I'm super proud of that. But we did end this month, I believe, break even overall on our net P&L. So just starting off with October, something I wanted to note was that there were a decent amount of opportunities in the market for sure. There were a couple trades that I did pass up on just due to the nature of my overall bias not being fully aligned on some of them. But overall, I think that I did a very good job at managing risk. I think the max risk I had on one trade was a little over $600 or something. I know I got caught in some slippage, but I was really more focused on keeping it between that 450 to 500 mark just until I build a decent buffer. But as of right now, the two top step accounts are sitting at negative $500 for the overall P&L. But for the month of October, we are finishing green at $114 for each of those accounts. And then I did start a Tradeify Lightning funded in the middle of the month, and that one is currently sitting at 149,800 something, give or take. So we're a little bit right on that one. With that being said, overall did a very good job this month of just executing my process, only taking the trades that I feel most confident in and just really focused on the process. There have obviously been times where I've caught myself thinking a little bit about the P&L and about my risk parameters. I think fixated a little bit too much on that dollar amount, got some of my fear instincts kicking in. However, I was able to ground myself with some of the framework Nav's provided for me and help keep me grounded and just focus on my process. Also, just reminded myself that because of how much I am risking, I am actually protecting my capital as well. Not risking no more than $1,000 each day realistically, but I'm not even taking more than one trade each day. So with that being said, I do want to, moving on to next month, I want to be able to just execute my process a little bit more, not aggressively, but just a little bit more effortlessly. And I want to continue practicing detachment when it comes to taking the trades. I did a very good job on that for the month of October, especially in the second half of October. I was really focused on just taking the highest quality looking setups, not really cared too much about the P&L. I know in the beginning of October, I think there were like a couple I think it's just that first day that I took it, as you guys can see, on October 6th, dude, that fucking stutter, crazy. But October 6th took a small loss and didn't have the entry model. So stuff like that definitely could be avoidable. But yeah, overall, super great risk management. Follow my plans. Only took 10 trades this month, 50% win rate at a break-even spot. Not too bad. So we had a very few like partial stops or profit stops that were hit. So helped with the win rate buffer, but I'd like to see November give us some full TPs to get hit. But obviously we want to stay very objective and focus on what the market is providing us. There is no clear indicator whether your model is going to play out for next month either, but we know that on the longer term scale that this model is profitable. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started on the trade review. So going into October 6th, the very first trade, taking a look, pretty bullish structure. We did see price already sweep out some London lows and whatever, tapped into a higher time frame gap, and I was just looking for an entry. Took it off of the first gap presented, but if there's one thing I note every time, it's that when I don't get that type 3 shift, a lot of times the trades don't play out well. But overall, for this day, we did have a pretty bullish bias, and it just ended up just I just ended up not getting the right entry for that one, and ended it in a I would call this just a regular loss. It shouldn't be a small loss. And that was the first trade. Second trade we took was on October 9th, so a little 3 days after. Overall, we were seeing the daily or the 4 hour was bullish as we closed above that previous gap. The 1 hour was also, let's see, at the time, the 1 hour was bearish. 30 minute was bullish, pulling back into this bullish gap. Same thing with the 15 minute and the 5 minute. And so for this trade, I remember taking this. I had the right entry model. We waited for price to break above this general area of interest. We got in on the pullback, and I was looking for a continuation up to these highs. I think I just trailed my stops a little bit too aggressively. I had a overall bullish bias. As you guys can see, we have three time frames that were telling us to be bullish, two of them bearish and one neutral. So with a 3/2, bias is overall bullish. And I do put a little bit more weight on the 5 and 15 minute time frame when it comes to my bias because I'm trading on the lower time frame. So I also want to make sure that I'm aligned with the medium time frames as well. So with the 5 and 15 in our favor, it's high probability the price will continue. But for this one, the lesson is to not trail too aggressively, especially when you have four time frames aligned, if you include the 1 minute. So just something to keep in mind. Next trade after was also a really good win. We got that shift right here. We broke above, created that gap, swept out lows. And then when it came to figuring out our bias, we had the daily being bullish, 4 hours bullish, delivering out of this previous gap, looking to target into these highs at that moment in time. The 1 hour we had marked down as neutral. No gas fill to be filled. And we were trading in this bearish gap, but we had already met the previous objective. So we were just now trading in a very neutral bias. And then 30 minute was bullish, delivering out of these bullish gaps, and the 15 minute as well, looking bullish. So we had majority of the time frames being bullish, date 1, 2, 3, 4, and then with the shift, that makes it 5. And then the rest were neutral. So overall, a very bullish bias, just following the trend. It feels good, man. It feels good to really just get that process locked down. But this was the next trade right here. Um, I would next. Oh, okay, perfect. So for this one, the mistake that I made here was that thinking that this was the shift in structure to go bearish. First off, I understand why I took it short, but I also want to pay attention to the quote unquote pullback that I'd be playing. It is in a premium. No, it is in a discount. So when you're trying to take shorts in a discount, there's like a lower probability chance of price moving in your favor. But for me, I really just wanted to see a quick one-to-one move on this, which we obviously didn't get. Higher time frame structure was looking a little bit more bullish anyways. Yes, we did have bearish indicators on the 35 and 15, but overall, like it's just this structure right here, just after seeing price move down and come back up, it was not looking too hot for shorts anyways. Um, Let's see, I had the 1 hour is bullish. Yeah, the 1 hour was also trading out of a bullish gap too. So I think that was a pretty clear indicator. We had two bearish gaps get disrespected. We swept out these higher time frame lows, and price is just trading in this range. So the next target for the 1 hour would realistically be this gap or the highs. And let's see, 15 minute. 15 minute was bearish. We were rejecting out of this bearish gap. And honestly, I would say that it was a decent trade in terms of thesis, but just overall, I think that it would have been a better trade if price pulled back and I got stopped out here. But I think this is just one of those cases where you don't know what the market's doing. But also, was it the highest quality type 3 shift? Probably not, right? And this is New York Open as well. If it breaks New York Open and it doesn't move anywhere and is holding at these lows, probably a best to just disqualify it. And then we have the 21st, another dub, very clean trade. You had the shift, waited for 745 to come. We took it at the first presented gap, and then we were just looking to target the highs. And with the bias overall, everything looking bullish. This was an A plus setup, and it felt fucking good taking this shit too, man. Let me tell you that. Sweet. And then now the 25th. 25th, we took a loss. So for this one, I understood the trade idea. I've seen this play out before, but I think the only thing I should have considered was the fact that at the market conditions during this time was that we were at all-time highs, right? So a lot of bullish gaps will remain to stay respected until we start seeing bearish structure get disrespected. And unfortunately, I think with this trade, we did get wicked out, and then price did move to our first TP where we could have moved to break even, but it's just unfortunate. Other than that, the setup looked decent. It was worth trying, and I'm not mad at taking this trade at all. I think what I could have done better is just maybe size down, right? If the bias is overall bullish and I am taking shorts, just automatically that should be half size, you know? It wouldn't make sense for you to go full size on a trade that you have your bias being completely the opposite. And then this last one, another break even type of day for this one. We had the 1 hour, 30, and 5 minute being bullish, the 15 and the 15 being bearish, and the one day and the 4 hour being neutral. So obviously having more of a bullish bias. And I mean, the trade plan did work out. I mean, I did a very good job of trailing aggressively in this market just because I was taking the previous price action earlier over here and it was just looking super choppy and slow. So I wasn't looking to try to hold this for too long, especially with price barely attempting to break these highs. So I was trailing pretty aggressively. We would have got a stop rating and then it ran into targets anyways, but we got the direction right. But this is what I mean with this is what I mean by the October price action. It's just super fucking mid, not enough follow through. But hopefully November is a good one. So not counting on it. I am also still just being super objective, like no expectations for the market to do anything. You just have to be the person that just shows up, follows the process every single day. You cannot focus on P&L because that will just deviate your mind from what you actually need to do. And that's being focused on making sure that you're executing your plans to your highest level. You need to use a lot of brain power to be able to create your bias, to follow your plan. And not only that, you're putting your own capital at risk, right? So all of those require a lot of your energy. So you need to make sure you preserve it. For me, I could definitely do a better job at not going on my phone, but I do film my TikToks during my trading sessions so that I can post it. But maybe that's something I should save, like where I do another set. Like I have time slots for TikTok rather than doing it during market session. But I mean, I do have a 30-minute break window period from taking my next trade anyway. So that's why I want to maximize and utilize as much time as I can because my mornings are super busy. After this, I got to go to the gym and then I got work to do. So it's like I want to make sure I get all my plans made ready and prepped. So I'm gonna have to figure out my time management, but I'm very glad I'm self-aware of all of these little things that could be affecting my performance as well. But November, definitely going to make sure that things are on track. And then last trade. Man, this last trade was insanely, I don't even say trading. It was whatever's like, but we got that shift, very clean shift. We didn't get any closures. We didn't get any bullish candle closures except for the 5 minute, but I would have liked the 5 minute to close type 2 bullish on that one. But we did get a type 3 shift on the 1 minute, and overall the bias was looking bullish when we had the hour, 30, and 15 being bullish, trading out of these gaps. 30-minute trading out of that gap as well. And yeah, so I think this trade definitely an inevitable loss. I had the right bias, had the shift, I had my entry model, I had my direction, I had my process, I answered the questions. I could have maybe just been more patient and waited for the higher time frame candle to close, but if that was the case, I would have probably had to play that trade outside of macro. So yeah, 50% win rate, October, not too hot, but grateful that we are still in this game. That's all that matters. Got to keep risk consistent. I'm going to still keep it to one trade a day. I think it's been working out a lot for me, and there's no point on putting on more risk unless, of course, I take a win and I choose to want to take another trade. then we can go ahead and take another trade, but we'd go half risk. All right, that's going to be the trade review for the day. So I appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Study up and just stop. Um, you don't need a back test. Like, you already know your strategy works. Unless, of course, you're new to the strat, then yeah, back test so that you can start building that pattern recognition when you start seeing your model play out during live session. But other than that, psychology is everything. So figure out your patterns in the week. Like what you be, I'm telling you, the game with trading is that you need to be super self-aware of everything that you do. What are your thoughts throughout the day? Because those little things will affect how you bring your mind into trading. And if you want to be the highest version of yourself, you need to be self-aware. So with that being said, have a great weekend, study up on your videos, and I will catch you guys on Monday.